Dan Illman, Mike Beer, race number 5 at Santa Anita on Breeders' Cup Saturday is the Turf Sprint. Grade 1, $1 million. They're going 5/8 of a mile. And our coverage on DRFTV is supported today by Racing Blue Storm. If you want your horses to be healthy and happy, try Racing Blue Storm's products, a breakthrough in sports nutrition for horses. Let's meet the field for the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. You've got a 2-time defending champion, Mike, the 6 Stormy Liberal at 8-1. That's how competitive this field is.
It really is just sort of a wide open race. I think a lot of different horses could win here, Dan. It's sort of interesting, too, that, for a 5-furlong turf sprint, there are horses who have speed and want to be forward, but there are no, maybe only a couple of real blazers in here who might want to be actually on the lead.
We'll take a look at the second part of this entry card, and we'll see horses like Eddie Haskell, who we'll talk a lot about in this stakes preview based on his trip, a very sharp New York Invader, Final Frontier. They're 9-2 and 6-1 respectively. And we'll take a look at the Timeform US pace projector, always important in these turf dashes. And we got the old timer, Pure Sensation. He likes 5. He might be able to make the front in here.
Yeah, he's got a lot of speed. I'm sure that's what Paco Lopez is going to be thinking when the gates open. Try to make the front.
Totally Boss is the number 1, and Rusty Arnold's just done a great job with this horse. He is a nose away from being undefeated from 5 starts in 2019, and he's so versatile. He looked great winning 2 starts back at Ellis Park, coming from way off of the pace. And then Florent Giroux realized last time out of Kentucky Downs, boy, you had to be close. There wasn't a lot of winners coming from off of the pace, and as they turn into the stretch, there's a big price on the lead. Smart Remark is 65-1. Totally Boss is right on top of him. Totally Boss is just a better horse than Smart Remark, and he gets it done. Leinster finishes an okay 3rd.
Yeah, Leinster's behind him in this race. Imprimis is down in the inside in the yellow, having trouble getting a clear run. He's also coming back in this race, and Stormy Liberal too. This is a pretty significant race as far as this Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint goes. And Totally Boss has just been in excellent form all year long. As you mentioned, a nose away from being 5 for 5. And even in that loss, when Ohm beat him, he had trouble getting clear in that race. Otherwise, he might be coming in here undefeated on the year.
Mike, the number 2, Pure Sensation, an 8-year-old seemingly in career best form. He's got 3 triple-digit Beyer speed figures in a row, and if this race was at Parks, he'd be the favorite. He's unstoppable there. He's won 4 editions of the Turf Monster, 3 in a row, including this race back on September the 2nd. Broke from the far outside post, cleared to the lead in the rail. Just too much horse for these. He beat 3 next out winners, however, one of them coming back to win with a triple-digit Beyer speed figure. My question for you is, does he need a little cut in the ground?
I mean, I don't know. I don't think so, but I guess we'll find out as he's gotten older. He does seem to really handle softer turf. He's a really good horse, Dan. He has speed. This is a good distance for him, and obviously coming in off of 3 triple-digit Beyers. I mean, it suggests he's one of the major players in here. I just find it interesting that, his last 6 stakes wins in his career, this is dating back to 2017, have all come in Pennsylvania, either Parks or Penn National. When they run him in New York, he doesn't seem like the same horse. He's got 1 allowance win at Gulfstream Park. Other than that, he just doesn't seem to be competitive on the major circuits anymore. It's going to be very interesting to see how he runs in here.
Let's talk a little bit about Imprimis, because at the beginning of this year, he was one of the bosses of this division. 109 Beyer speed figure in the Silks run. Ran down a loose on the lead good horse in Bound for Nowhere and a sensational performance in the Shakertown. Now, he's had 2 starts back since Royal Ascot, and I wonder if Joe Orsino's been trying to give him just a natural progression to get him ready for the Breeders' Cup. Plus, I think you could argue he's had some excuses in both of those races.
Yeah, I think you could. To me, he's the horse in this race who, if he just shows up and runs his best race, I just think he's going to win. I don't know if he's going to run his best race in here, but if he does, I think he'll beat this field. I think if you look at his 2 races since they come back from Ascot, you just want to sort of say he didn't get great trips either time. Certainly, he felt like he had an excuse last time when he was just sort of buried down on the inside. He also hasn't been sharp in those races, though. I think part of the trouble that he's had is he just hasn't been sharp in those races. Maybe he'll be sharp here, 3rd off the layoff.
Shecky Shabazz has earned 2 triple-digit Beyer speed figures since being transferred over to trainer Jason Service. He missed last time out going 6. He cuts back to 5. 5 should work well for him, but he might have to deal with Pure Sensation early. I'm not sure if they've come in all this way to rate.
Yeah, I don't think they are. Jason Service horses usually don't rate. I'm sure this horse will show speed. He's clearly improved on turf, and he's certainly improved for service. I didn't see his excuse last time at Belmont. Final Frontier to me was just better than him in that race. The pace didn't look super fast to me, and this horse got run down anyway. But he comes in off a pair of 102s.
The 5 Stubbins showed some guts last time out to win the Woodford over Leinster and Imprimis. We're going to take a look at that race right now. He's in the red noseband, and he's got to bull his way out in between horses. Now he's got a clear run, and he's gonna run. I thought both Leinster and Imprimis ran well. I thought both of them were bottled up. But Stubbins did some really good things in this race, and as a lightly raced 3-year-old, he's got some upside. Do you think the 5's a little short for him?
I wonder if it is, but, based on that race that we just watched, I think he's going to be a player in this race if he catches any pace at all. He ran really well in there. It wasn't Imprimis's best race, obviously. Leinster, I thought he ran fine. I didn't see his excuse, however. Stubbins, I thought he ran really well last time, and it makes me want to keep him open in this race.
Now let's talk about the 2-time defending champion, Stormy Liberal, of course, ran that 1:19 Buyer's speed figure over that boggy turf course at Churchill Downs last year. Hasn't won since. In that allowance race on February the 22nd, he looked to be moving very smoothly. He bobbled very badly when attacking the leader on the turn, and he just didn't fire. He ran okay in Dubai, to be sure, but he's come back with 3 races that have just been below his best. He showed a little bit more speed last time out. He broke well before they took him in hand to rate. I'm just not sure if the Stormy Liberal we've seen in his last 3 starts is up to par in winning a race like this, but I don't want to give him short shrift considering the career he's had.
Yeah, I don't either. I just don't want to take him based on his last 3 races. Dan, he doesn't look like the same horse to me. He's not quickening in the stretch like he used to. Maybe he'll turn it around in this race, but I'm not going to bet on it.
We saw what Rusty Arnold has done with turf sprinters like Morticia, Totally Boss, and he's done it again with Leinster. Once they've concentrated in making this horse a turf sprinter, he has been consistently excellent. You liked him when he won the Grade 3 Troy Stakes. He ran down Pure Sensation to win that race. In the turf sprint to Kentucky Downs, maybe he was just a little bit too far back. And last time out in the Woodford, he ran a good second. Stubbins just beat him that day. What about the 5 for him? Do you think that's a little short?
No, I don't really think the 5's going to be too short for him. I think the question with him is just, is he as good as that 108 figure makes him look when he ran in the Troy? I do think he's a quality turf sprinter. I'm not sure about that figure for that race. And, while he's run okay in his last 2 starts, I didn't really see his excuse necessarily either time. Certainly last time. That's a race he easily could have won and maybe should have won. I thought he got run down without excuse.
Doug O'Neill has Stubbins. He also has Legends of War. He ran 1-2 with them in the Grade 3 Franklin Simpson Stakes, just not in the order that you would have thought. They turn into the stretch, and Legends of War, 23-1, took no prisoners. Got to the front, made an easy lead. Stubbins is going to come with his run. Legends of War's got plenty left at the wire. Something tells me, this race was at 6 furlongs, something tells me that at 5, this trip is not available to Legends of War in the Breeders' Cup.
It wouldn't seem that he could make a front-running trip for himself in this race. He did win at 5 furlongs 2 back in an allowance race. That was from off the pace. Listen, that race that we just saw, there's the best race he's ever run. I don't even think if he runs that race, it makes him that strong a contender in here, though.
Tommy Albertrani's brought Final Frontier off a layoff back in pretty good form. I liked his win at Saratoga, that optional claiming race. It wasn't a strong group of non-winners of 2 other than horses, and I know he pressed a long shot in the early portion of that race, but he basically won under merely a hard hand ride. He was second to Shecky Shabazz in the Lucky Coin. He got the better of him last time out in the Belmont Turf Sprint. We turn into the stretch. Shecky Shabazz, showing his usual speed, is down on the rail. Final Frontier got a really lovely trip and ride, tracking 3 wide, and Final Frontier gets the better again of Shecky Shabazz. Did you think the 6 made the difference here?
I do like this horse over, maybe a little bit longer, 5.5 or 6. But listen, he's just shown himself to be a quality sprinter since Tommy Albertrani has cut him back. To me, he's basically run well in all of his turf sprints. He was, to me, much the best in the Belmont Turf Sprint last time. I think he's a major player in this race because he's a horse who's not slow. He doesn't need the lead, but he's not slow early.
And he also is coming off a 104 Buyer speed figure. Eddie Haskell was arguably best last time out in the Eddie D Stakes when the beaten favorite. This is just a cool Calbred. Mike, take this trip from home because we've already missed the worst part.
Yeah, it almost looked like a prep for this horse, didn't it? He broke from the rail. He seemed to break fine at the start, but Joel Rosario just took him back off the pace. You see him swinging to the outside here in the stretch. He's going to come with a fast finish. It's too late. It almost looks like they designed it that way, Dan, like it was a prep race for this horse. And maybe it was. Clearly, 5 furlongs is a great distance for him. He comes in here in really good form and off of a race last time that is just maybe even better than it looks.
It was just surprising to see, considering that this horse has really good tactical speed and he had the rail that day, that they took him all the way back and kept him in behind horses till inside the 3/16 pole. You saw the kick. This horse is obviously in good form. He likes 5. He likes Santa. Anita. The number 11 is Ohm. He's been bouncing around for a long time. He's banked $1.1 million in his career. They're trying to remake him as a turf sprinter. He was kind of a middle distance horse back in the day. Second in the turf sprint back in 2016. But again, that was going 6.5 furlongs, and he had a lot of speed to run at. Last time out, he scored over Totally Boss at Churchill Downs. Do you think Ohm has found a home as a turf sprinter?
I mean, I wouldn't put anything against him trying to make himself a turf sprinter. Dan, he seems like he's just a really good horse. That it seems like he can just do anything. They cut him back for his last 2 starts. He was a good second in the Jaipur. He was not beating World of Trouble that day, but I thought he ran fine to be second best that day, and he won last time despite, basically a 4-wide trip around the racetrack. He just held on, but he managed to do it. I wouldn't put anything past this horse.
I'm a big fan of the mare Belvoir Bay. This seems to be a little bit of a tough spot. Last time she raced on the Santa Anita lawn going 5, she won the Wishing Well Stakes against weaker horses. She did it handily. They ran her in the Jaipur against the boys. Again, she was in against World of Trouble. She was on a chase throughout, and it didn't work out. On her best day, she gets a piece of this, I think, Mike. She loves Santa Anita. It's just a tough outside post. You're going to have to hustle out of there.
Yeah, those things are all true. She's a really quality mare, though. She's got races that are fast enough to make her a contender in here. Not a horse that I think you want to leave out lightly.
13-14 on the also eligible list, so it's time to take a look at our top selections for the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. This is great. 8 different horses, and still not sure that one of us has got the winner. You've got Eddie Haskell off the trouble line last time out. I think he's versatile. I think he's talented. He's got a home court edge. I know Pure Sensation's got speed. I know I'm going to be in front at least after a quarter mile, barring a disastrous break. And he ran 3rd in the turf sprint when they contested it down the hill at 6.5. This is a much better distance for him. If he could shake off Shecky Shabazz, he's got a big shot.
Yeah, I don't disagree with any of that. I think a lot of different horses can win. I'm going to stick with Eddie Haskell on his home track off of a really good race last time, but there are a lot of different horses that can win.
10-1-3-11 for Mike, 2-6-9-7 for me. Amazing. In the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, approximate post time 12:33. Our coverage is supported today by Racing Blue Storm.